Namaste all to Munial Ayurveda's webinar. This is 9th in the series. Thank you for your patronage and support. Today we have with us Dr. Pramod Katti. Dr. Pramod Katti, after completing his BAMS from SS Ayurveda Medical College and Research Center from Haveri, then it was Karnataka University, did his post-graduation with a specialty in Kaya Chikitsa in 2005 from Ayurveda Mahavidyalaya, Hubli. He is one such rare scholars who effectively translated Ayurvedic concepts into clinical practice. A very good teacher, an expert clinician, and a researcher, and I'm sure all of you will be really benefited by his talk. Today, he will be sharing his experiences in managing metabolic diseases through Ayurveda. He will explain his approach, and for any queries at the end, you can interact with him. I request Dr. Ravishankar Shanai to take over and moderate the session further. And a special welcome to Dr. Pramod Katti. Kindly take over the session, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Welcome, Pramod Katti, sir.
Thank you very much, sir.
We will be making you the host, sir. You can start the screen sharing. Thank you, everybody, and welcome to the Munial webinar. I request now Dr. Pramod Katti, sir, to continue with the session, sir. Sir, please.
Right, sir. Thank you very much. Respected Principal, Dr. Satyanan, sir, Dr. Ravishankar, sir, and all my dear teachers and faculty members and scholars, those who are there online. I welcome you all for today's our case discussions. I'm not going in detail with what is metabolic disorders and how to understand it and what all are the things. I'll just have 3 or 4 cases for today's discussion. A short and snappy discussion, not going in detail with the Samprapti, this, that, everything. So my main objective is in your clinical setup, in a OPD level, how best you can make use of your skills and make it your prescription more appropriate and precise and make your diagnosis more in a crisp and smaller way, and how you can observe and how you can go for further treatments. So with that particular object, I share few cases. So today I have prepared only 4 cases. Metabolic disorders with hypothyroidism, metabolic disorder with fertility issues. So 3-4 cases are there. So today we'll have a discussion. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to share my views with all of you. Ragadi Rogan Satatana Shaktan Aseshakaya Prasatana Seshan Outsukya Moha Aratidan Jagana Yopurva Vidyaya Namostu Tasmai. So let us begin with the first case. So this is the case number 1. A female with 52 years, a teacher from Harvard, came for consultation with a history of swelling in the face, swelling in the arms or upper limbs and lower limbs. It was non-pitting type of swelling. She feels of cold extremities, and she also complains with Shramashwasa. So when she starts doing activities, or when she walks on a plain ground, or when she go for a upstairs, she slowly starts with a difficulty in breathing. She was lethargic. Mood swings were also there. Irregular bowels were there. Palpitation was there. Bhaya, Krodha. So all these lakshanas were there in that particular patient. So these were the complaints since 1 year. As she do not have a time to make a consultation with an Ayurvedic consultant in her area, so she consulted local physicians, and they have given symptomatic treatments, and no investigations and proper evaluation was not done. So when she came to us with all these complaints, and she gives a very peculiar complaint of aggravation of all these clinical features. So generally we take a history, aggravating and relieving factors. So when I concentrated on aggravating and relieving factors of these complaints, so she gives a complaints of aggravation of this Shishotha, all these cold intolerance or cold extremities, Shita Pradvesha, or irregular bowels, Asamyak Malapravrti, Kampa, Bhaya, Krodha. So these all features were fluctuating in their nature depending on the seasonal changes. In the early morning, whenever she, as she is a teacher, daily she used to travel for 50 kilometers, so 25 kilometers. So whenever she makes a traveling, or whenever she goes for a 1 day, 2 day, or 3 days traveling, generally she develops swelling or face, arms, legs, but it was a non-pitting type of edema. And whenever she is usually having a laulya, jihwa laulya is more, she is a voracious eater. And whenever she takes the food which are prepared out of dadhi, masha, fried items, oily items, or whenever she used to take more sweets, all those aharas aggravates the clinical features. And her weight, when we checked at the first consultation, was 89 kg with body mass index of 36.6 kg per meter square. And she was evaluated. She was a non-diabetic, non-hypertensive, and her lipid profile shows a normal readings. So these were the basic investigation which were done by the previous consultants. So everything was normal, and she menopaused just 5 years back with 2 children, obstetric history of 2 children with normal full-term delivery. So there was no issue 1 year before. Slowly she developed over a period of 1 year. And when I asked about her food and lifestyle, so she has given a few of the nidanas. Generally, our diagnosis depends on the hetu dushti or dosha dushti, resulting into dosha dusha samurchana, lakshana manifestation, selection of the treatment. Our basic line of treatment starts with hetu viparita chikitsa. So thinking of all those things, when I took the history and she revealed a few of the nidanas, like ruksha nidana, shita, guru ahara sevana, and ati ahara sevana. So she used to consume a very sampurna bhojana, ati sampurna bhojana, ati ahara sevana, and sometimes she also gives a history of vishamashana. And being a teacher, she used to sit daily in the traveling in the bus, even in the classes. So she is a habit of sitting idly one place and continuing her classes and continuing her work. Even in house also, minimum activities were done because there are some other people are there who are supporting her routine activities of the household activities. So there was a chances of much more avyayama and ati asana history. So with all this history, when I started investigating her blood parameters, so after the looking into the there was no diabetic history, there was no history of hypertension, there was no history of dyslipidemia. So then the immediate investigation, what we prescribed is to go for one thyroid profile. So when we went for a thyroid profile on April 2019, so she showed elevated thyroid profile with the TSH more than 50. So 54.04 was the TSH. And her anti-TPO was also investigated, and anti-TPO is 257. Generally, it should be less than 34 or 30. So her levels were elevated more than 250. So 257 was her anti-TPO, thyroid peroxidase antibodies, and TSH was 54. So I advised her, you have to follow a strict pathya. So 2 investigation reports I kept over in front of you. First one with on her first consultation. Second one, after more than 20 days or 1 month, she was unable to make a follow-up. So I was not given any medicine. I prescribed her the medicine, but she was unable to continue to the medicine as because we have suggested a strict diet. So you have to control your diet and lifestyle. You have to do activities. You have to control your voracious eating habits. You have to streamline your food habits, activities, and everything. So she was reluctant to follow the diet. So when she came to second consultation on 10th of May 2019, I asked her to repeat TSH and anti-TPO, and it was increased in a span of 1 month or less than 1 month, around 58, and the anti-TPO was 272. So it was an increasing order. So I made her to convince. I convinced her that whatever the anti-TPO, what will happen, and what will happen if your TSH will increase like this, and already you are facing with so many consequences. So after taking a half an hour for making her to understand about seriousness about her disease, then you will be on drug dependency and you are going to face so many complications of this particular autoimmune hypothyroidism. So I suggested, I made her to understand about the disease condition. So it took around half an hour to make her to make a consultation with her. So purposely I asked her to come after 1 o'clock in the afternoon, so that I can give some time and to convince her to follow the pathya. So once she was convinced with her husband and children, all were there. So it made her to convince, and everybody was convinced, and she started doing pathya. So basic pathya, what generally we follow in all this condition is, this is a condition of the two important disease need to be studied for this particular type of disease. One is with the Shotha, as the Lakshanas were there. Second one with the Panduroga. So when you club the treatment principles of Shotha and the Panduroga, you will be coming out with the treatment principles for this particular diseases. With that intention, we started with the treatment of our objective is not to suppress the disease or to give the thyroxine to send her back. So there was no intention of us to prescribe any thyroxine dosages, even though the TSH is very high elevated. So the first line of treatment is autoimmune thyroiditis. So we have diagnosed autoimmune hypothyroidism. So once it was diagnosed with this particular condition, where the aggravating and relieving factors were observed. So aggravating and relieving factors are suggestive of it is associated with Amavisha. So generally Amavisha is aggravating in the early morning, late in the evening, whenever getting exposed to Shita, Vata, Maruta, Samsparsha. So whenever getting exposed, generally, so this Visha is getting aggravated. So whenever she is having a history of this particular condition, so all the Pathya Kalpanas were advised in the form of whatever the Pathya we generally suggest for Sama Avastha or Sama Shotha Avastha. So the same Anavishyanti Pathya was followed with all avoiding Dadhi, Masha and everything. So whatever the Pathya Kalpanas were observed for her, so all the Pathya Kalpanas were convinced her, and after that we have prescribed the following medicines which you are seeing on the screen. So Punarnamadi Kashaya was given 10 ml twice a day after food, and Chitrakadivati was given 1 in the morning, 1 in the night, 1 in the afternoon before food, and the third is Avipattikara Churna, half teaspoon before food with hot water at bedtime, before dinner. So the objective of prescribing these three medicines with intention of Punarnama Kashaya having a Patola, Nimba and all other ingredients along with Punarnama having a very best Shothagna, and when you go into the indication of Punarnama Kashaya along with the Jara, along with the Shotha, Jara Adhikara is also explained as it is indicated in Sama Shotha Avastha. So keeping it in that view, so we have prescribed Punarnama Kashaya, which has helped her a lot with all other Shotha Lakshanas and Sama Dosha Lakshanas. So Punarnamadi Kashaya was given, and Chitrakadivati, objective of giving Chitrakadivati is to make Agni Deepana. So whatever the Visha is there, for the best treatment for all type of Visha is Deepana Chikitsa. Agni Deepana along with the Shothagna Chikitsa is the objective along with Anulomana. So for that Anulomana, Punarnamadi Kashaya will also do the Pachana and Anulomana. Along with that, Avipattikara Churna was given in the night time for cleansing the bowel, as she is having a habitual history of Asamyak Malak Pravritti was also there. So with keeping this intention, so whatever the mood swings were also there, Bhaya, Krodha, Chinta, Shoka, whatever the things are there, they are also associated with the Agni Dushti Lakshanas. So when you look into the Charaka Chikitsasthana 15th chapter, there he has elaborately explained about this particular concept of the importance of Agni Chikitsa, importance of Agni, which is controlling all the creative work and destructive work. So the normal Agni will help for the Jnanam and Ajnanam. So abnormal Agni will make Ajnana and Jnana because of normal functioning of Agni. So that was the focus of making a normal Agni function. So all the endocrinopathies, all the metabolic disorders, overweight and associated with endocrinopathies, always associated with Agni Dushti Rogas. So whenever such complex condition will come, our first line of treatment should start with a basic core between the different avasthas. It is a Pandu or Chikitsa or Shotha Chikitsa or endocrinopathies treatment or metabolic disorders. So the basic cause for all this condition is starts with Agni Chikitsa itself. So the line of treatment started with Deepana along with Sama Dosha Chikitsa along with Anulomana of the same. So you can observe the next after 3 months. So after 3 months, the condition was improved, and you can see the anti-TPO is not reduced much. It has reduced by only 20 points. And if you look into the TSH, from 58, it has reduced to 9.9, around 10, you can take it. So that much of intensively it has reduced. So there is no need of giving a thyroxine for such patients, not at all required. So this is one of the basic points that I would like to stress more on. With more confidence, you can practice without prescribing thyroxine. Even patient is also on thyroxine, you can ask them to stop the thyroxine and continue with our basic treatment principles. So later the anti-TPO were not reduced. So we shifted from next line of treatment with Guruchi Siddhajala, Tadosha Shamaka, and it is very good Deepana and Pachaniya in its nature, along with Anulomana in its nature, and having a property of Vishashamana also, along with Punarnama Kashaya with Rikatu Churna. So Rikatu Churna was added to increase the Agni because it can be done with the two important rasas. Either you have to do Pachana with Tikta Rasa or you have to do with Katu Rasa. So as patient is obese, as patient is having a Sama Shotha Avastha, so Katu Rasa is playing a very important role, making Sroto Shodhana, dilatation of the Srotasis, cleansing of the channels and everything. Without keeping all those things, along with Ama and Sroto Shodhana was the objective of selecting Trikata Churna. So it was given with a very little quantity, just around 500 to 1000 mg. And in the interval of after attaining the Nirama Avasthas, we have started with Snehapana with Mahatikta Vigrita in the month of October. So after this investigation is observed, the further 3 months line of treatment is prescribed in the right corner. So the Snehapana was given in the month of October for 7 days with Mahatikta Vigrita in the form of Shamana format. So 7 days the Shamana Snehapana was given. After Shamana Snehapana, the previous medicines with Punarnamadi and Guruchi Siddhajala was continued. During Shamana Snehapana, no medicines were given. After Shamana Snehapana is over, once again the same medications were continued. So after 3 months, you can see the next investigation. So in the month of November, you can see the reports that anti-TPO has reduced from 252 to 95. And you can see the one more report that TSH has reduced from 9.9 to 5.67. So this was the observation over a period of 6 months. So it took a time, definitely, it requires a time, and you cannot reverse completely all autoimmune disorders. So you cannot reverse, but the objective is all the clinical features were reduced. So all her appetite, bladder reflexes, and all Shotha has reduced. Her weight has also reduced, and she was very active. She used to go for a 3 to 4 kilometers walk in the morning, in the evening. She has really taken it a challenge, and so almost all the clinical features were reversed. So our objective is not only to suppress the TSH or suppress the anti-TPO. So objective is reversing the samprapti. Samprapti vighatana is the more important. So basic target for samprapti is basic target for the samprapti is the Agni Chikitsa, followed by Samadosha Chikitsa, followed by Dhatu Sthapana Chikitsa or Rojaskara Chikitsa, or that is the Snehapana Chikitsa, which has helped out to make a Sthapana of the Dhatus. So formation of Prashasta Dhatus along with Nirama Avastha. In that particular Avastha, if you are administering the Snehapana, it will be adding on to the normalcy of bringing back to the physiological processes, and you can reverse the samprapti to the physiological activity. So the pathology can be reversed to the physiological activities. So objective of selecting Panchatikta, so Mahatikta Ghrtavas, Tikta Ghrtas are indicated in Visha Avastha, in Shodha Avastha, and because of that, Mahatikta Ghrta was selected in this particular case, and because of that, you can see the differences in the entire differences of investigation turned out from 272 to 95 anti-TPO, and a 58 of TSH has reduced down to 5.67. So the objective of the treatments are not only to carry out the at a time action on Vyadhikshamatva or the Oja and Bala, along with the Agni, that is endocrine activities, and the metabolic status of the body. So the Pachaka Agni has to be targeted, along with Samanavata has to be targeted, along with the Bala of Sharira, that is Oja or Udana Vayu, has to be targeted. So keeping with all these views with a very crisp and very simplified treatment protocol, and along with a simple line of observation can be done in clinical practices. Not going for any type of Shodhana Chikitsa or anything, with only Shamana Chikitsa only you can manage such complicated conditions. So two important diseases you need to study to understand this type of diseases. The treatment principles can be taken out from the Shodha Chikitsa, and the treatment principles of Pandu Chikitsa can be adopted in such patients. So coming to the next case, case number 2, a male patient of 38 years from nearby Dharwad, Kittur. Basically, he is a PWD contractor with a history of no issues. Married life of 8 years, and there is no history of any typhoid or viral fever or mumps, no history of erectile dysfunction or premature ejaculation. So he is obese, 94 kgs with 32 of body mass index. So non-hypertensive, non-diabetic, and no history of dyslipidemia. So generally, whenever we take a patient of obesity, generally we label them as a metabolic disorder with all these, comes with all these conditions. So all the investigations came within normal limits, and there is no history related to her spouse. So no abnormalities were detected. So USG was normal, all healthy uterine functions, endometrial thickness was normal, eggs were normal, follicular steady was normal. So before coming to us, they underwent for 3 IUI sittings, which has revealed, which was unfruitful, and they visited for their issue-related problem to us. So when I took the history of the patient, so as he is a PWD contractor, you know so all the hetus what you get in that particular patient is Akala Bhojana and Akala Shayana are the two important etiological factors which were observed, and Sankirana Bhojana and Viruddha Bhojana. Sankirana Bhojana and Viruddha Bhojana are the two important nidanas which we collected from that particular patient. So wherever he goes, there he consumes the food, and he continues with his activities. So Sankirana Bhojana, so there is no gap, there is no selection of food for them. So they usually take food whatever they get in the outside. So Sankirana Bhojana was there, Viruddha Bhojana was also there, and history of Atiyana and history of Vegadharana, Kshudha Vegadharana or Pipasa philosophies of Vegadharana was also there. So taking into all those histories, you can understand when you go into the Astanga Sangraha Sutrasthana 19th chapter, where he has elaborated about the Panchavayu Nidanas. So there he has explained about Sita Sankirana Bhojanas, Akala Shayana, Akala Jagarana, or Akala Bhojana. So all these are leading to the vitiation of Samana Vayu. And Agni is vitiated. Whenever Samana Vata gets afflicted, definitely it's related directly to the Jataragni, and that will be getting vitiated. So when you go into the other etiological factors like Ati Chankramana, Ati Yana, so all those are directly Ruksha, Ahara Sevna, or other etiological factors related to vitiation of Vyana Vayu. So basically you get Samana and Vyana Vayu are basic Vata doshas which are generally involved. As he is obese, body mass index is more, and all other Kapha and Meda conditions are there. So Kapha Meda Savrata Samana Vayu, Kapha Meda Savrata Vyana Vayu Lakshanas can also be observed clinically. So he was advised with the semen analysis, and semen analysis was normal. So astonishingly, semen analysis was normal. The only two parameters were disturbed. One is the increased viscosity and the increased time of liquefaction. So both liquefaction time was increased and viscosity was increased. So it's a condition of increased Pichila guna in Shukra Dhatu. So because of that, how many times they are trying it out, so there is no possibility of conception. So even though the female partner, her wife is having, or everything was normal, because of this increased Pichila guna, because of Kaphameda Savrata condition of metabolic disorder, so Kaphavrata Samana or Kaphavrata Vyana or Kaphameda Savrata Samana Vyana Samprapti, which you can develop. So because of that, the liquefaction is and viscosity is more. So because of that, there is a difficulty in liquefaction of the semen which has deposited in the high up in the vagina. So there is no possibility of movement of the spermatozoas inside the lumen of the uterine cavity or into the fallopian tube during the fertile time. So because of this issue, so if we go with the general history, generally we go with Udgharshana or Virechana or Basti, so many line of treatment. So I have not focused into all those varieties of treatment. So when our diagnosis has become more appropriate and precise related to our treatment should focus more on Shukra Vasrotas on Shukra, and where there is a obstruction to the normal functioning of Samana. So the main function of Samana is the Samana controls Shukravaha, Artavavaha, Svedavaha, Ambhuvaha, Doshavaha, Srotasis from Astanga Sangraha Sutrasthana 19th chapter, where he has elaborated that Samana, even though it is nearer to the Agni Pradesh, but it controls all the functions related to Shukra, Dosha, Ambhu, so all the functions. So main function of Samana Vata is Grahana, Dharana, Pachana, Vivechana, Munchana. So the Vivechana, Pachana, or the formation or the spermatogenesis which has there, but because of the obstruction in its normal release during the release or during the after release also after ejaculation also, if it is not liquefied properly because of Ati Pichila guna, so there is no possibility of conception. So keeping that, we started with the line of treatment of Kafaya Shukra Doshti Chikitsa with Ati Pichila guna Vriddhi. So the dosha basically involved is Kapha Pradhana dosha, in Prakriti of a doshas are avalambaka, Kledaka Kaphas are involved. So dhatus involved is the Medha, Mamsa and Shukra dhatus. So Medha and Shukra Vasrotas basically involved. So it is a Chirakari Roga, as because the patient is having a Sthula Lakshanas. So Kapha Shukra Doshti Chikitsa Siddhantas were adopted. So Kleda Medha, Shukra, Kapha Doshtis were observed, Guru Snigdha Sitha, Pichila and observed. These gunas were observed in the Shukra and in the generalized Kapha and Medha dhatus. So Kapha, for Kapha it is Langhana, for Medha it is Lekhana, for Shukra it is Shukra Janaka and Shukra Pravartana. So all those line of treatment should be adopted in this particular condition. So started with the Agni Deepana Chikitsa and given Sroto Shodhana Chikitsa, Kaphahara, and Sroto Shodhana was the first line of treatment, and the drug was selected was the Pathadi Kashaya, Pathadi Kvata was given, so which has helped for making Shukra, which is developed into Ati Pichila Gunas. So Kaphahara was there, Medagna property was also there, Shukra was Sroto Shodhana will also happen, and along with that, Kapha Medahara, Pathya, and Vyayama was also advised. So whatever the Pathya is more, Pathya is you are going to advise for the patient, that is more important. So all Kaphagna, Medogna Pathya has to be adopted, Ushna Jala Sevana and everything. Whatever the Anabhishan Pathya is there, it has to be continued. So once you continue with the Anabhishan Pathya, so patient will be reversing back to his normal physiological processes. Once everything come back to his normalcy, then you can observe the report. So in the report, you can see the changes from, I have underlined in the yellow line. So after exactly 1 month, so 26/7 was the first report and 27/8 was the second report. So in the second report, you can observe that there's a changes in count, and viscosity has reduced, and liquefaction time has reduced to 30 minutes. So what you are observing here is the quantity of the semen has reduced from, which was earlier it was more, and it has reduced to 1 ml. So when you make a Kaphagna Chikitsa, when you make a Kaphahara Chikitsa, so it also makes a Shoshana of the Shukra Dhatu. So when a Shukra Shoshana takes place, definitely there will be reduced in the volume. So for that, you can add a Shukra Vardhana Chikitsa, like the drugs which are having increasing the volume, like Kapikachu or Shatavari, all those drugs. So the 1 ml was there, and 30-minute liquefaction has increased. Right. So when you have seen the report of previous report with so it was 1.5 ml was the quantity, with viscosity was increased, and liquefaction time was more than 1 hour. So and the count was 50 million, even though it is normal, but as there is a increased viscosity and liquefaction time were increased as a Ati Pichila Guna of Shukra has increased. So Kapha, which is blocking the normal movement or gati of the spermatozoas. So the Vyanavata function was totally obstructed. So the spermatogenesis was there by Samanavata functions were proper, but the movement of the spermatozoas inside the vagina was not proper because it is obstructed by the Ati Pichila Guna of Shukra dosha or Kapha, which is obstructing the normal gati of spermatozoa. So we have to remove the obstruction to the normal gati of spermatozoa. For that, Pathadi Kashaya was used, which is a very specific medicine for Kaphaja Shukra Dushti. It is explained in a condition of Granthi or Granthibhuta or Arthava Dushti Rogas, but it can also be administered in this particular condition as having a similar indication. Turned out to be increased quantity of spermatozoa. So count has increased. So from 50 million, it has increased to 170 million in a month. And the sperm morphology has also increased, very good sperm morphology. Along with the liquefaction time has reduced, along with quantity has reduced. So whenever you do more Rukshana Chikitsa, like Shraddhana or Pathadi Kashaya, Kapha Medhogna Pathya, so whenever the Ati Pichila Guna has reduced, so Ati Pichilata is reduced to normal Pichita, but that also has reduced, or the quantity of the semen has also reduced because of Ati Rukshana. So these are the indication where you need to stop Rukshana Chikitsa. So Ati Rukshana will also cause Dhatukshaya. So that should not happen. So these are the basic tool through which you can identify the gunas of the Chikitsa Shadupakramas. So the volume has reduced. So Dhatukshaya Lakshanas can be seen, volume has reduced. So you can stop the making Rukshana. You can just give the treatment of Pathya Kalpanas with Rukshana Chikitsa can be continued, but not as a medicines which for the Rukshanas. So what is the outcome over here? So patient has got conceived in the month of November. She conceived. So when everything has came back normally, so he has reduced his weight around 4 kgs. So further, he has reduced his weight when he made a last follow-up in the month of December. So lot of things which are happened with the continuation of the treatment. So Pathya was advised to continue along with Pathadi Kashaya was, once the volume has reduced, Pathadi Kashaya was stopped, and he was prescribed with the Guduchadi Kashaya. So for cleansing the cirrhosis and for without making any sort of reducing the volume of the semen. So Shatavari Kashaya along with Guduchadi Kashaya was prescribed along with that, so which has helped to conceive normally. So this was a case related to metabolic disorder along with the fertility issue. Coming to the next case, case number 3. So this was a case of a female with 28 years. Government clerical worker from local area with a history of no issues. After earlier one pregnancy was lost. So married life of 8 years, husband 38 years, analysis and no other abnormalities were detected in him after his scan, blood reports and everything was came to normal with history of PCOD. She took HRT, hormone replacement therapy, when got conceived in 2013. But unfortunately, IUD in the 32nd week, and they have to go for delivery, normal delivery, but with IUD was taken place because of cord around the neck in 32nd week. And since then, they were trying for conception, but there was no possibility of normal conception. So she was anxious to conceive, and all other personal history with the sexual life was normal, relation with her husband was normal, and no other contraceptives were used, and no consanguinity history and everything. So all the fertility history. So what were the hetus were observed in this particular patient? Guru Ahara Sevana, Ruksha Ahara Sevana, along with Vishamashana and Vegadharana. So because she used to work in a government office, there is no separate facility for the ladies for washrooms and all those things. So Vegadharana was there. So because of overload work, she used to suppress her Kshudha and Malamutra pravrittis. So there was a history of Vegadharana. It can be observed. Apanadrushti was also observed. So Sankirana Bhojana. So Akala Shayana and Akala Jaganama, once again with the history related with aggravation of Prana Drushti, Samana Drushti, Apana Drushti Vidanas, where can be understood through these etiological factors. So this is very, very important for every clinician to focus more on identifying this particular etiological factors. So her menstrual history was since her 12th year, she started her first cycle, menarche was started, and menstrual cycles were irregular, 10 to 12 days of bleeding was there, and bleeding pattern was irregular, and interval of bleeding is 60 to 90 days. So there was irregular pattern of cycles. So when she consulted us, she had her periods in the month of January, and she came back on March. So this was the case which has been presented over here. She also has a history of dysmenorrhea during her cycles. So Kastartava. So Artava Pravritti is disturbed, and prolonged bleeding of 10 to 12 days. Sometimes it crosses more than 12 days also. And investigations were done with thyroid profile came normal. Hormonal assays were normal. FSH, LH, and prolactin levels were normal. And USG revealed polycystic ovarian disease in the month of February 2018. So treatment adopted in this particular case. So Pachana was given for Rasa Shodhanartha. Without doing Rasa Shodhana or Rasa Shuddhi, Artha Vishuddhi cannot be achieved. So Rasa Shodhana, Rasa Shuddhi was achieved, and Sroto Shodhana of Rasavha Srotas Artava Srotas was given with Amritottaram and Shadharanam. And after Rasa Shuddhi and Sroto Shodhana was observed, after the next menstrual cycle was observed, and Shamana Snehavana was given as Dadimadi Grata, one of the best Grata which is prescribed for fertility issues, especially the female infertility issues, infertility, along with correcting the Agni and Samana Vayu. So keeping with all those perspective, so the Adimadi Grata was given, acts at Rasa and Artava Srotas. So Anulomana was done in the last 7 days of menstrual period, from 22nd day to 28th or 30th day till menstrual cycle commences with Abhayarishta. Sometimes we have also given Saptasara Kashaya also. Some in one period we have given Abhayarishta, in another period where the Kevala Vatanubandha is there, we have given Saptasara Kashaya also. So Abhayarishta, Vatakapanubandha, Sotoshodhana, everything will be there. But whenever there is association with Kevala Vayu, you can go for Saptasara Kashaya. The treatment outcome in this particular case, so she got conceived, and in the month of April, and delivered a female baby. So in December 2018. So this was the outcome related to this particular patient. So the basic point what you need to understand in managing the case of PCOD is you need not to prescribe just Artava Pravritti is not, Artava Pravartana Chikitsa is not to be done. So the first focus of your line of treatment should focus on Rasa Dhatu, Artava being a Upadhatu of Rasa. So Rasa Shuddhi followed by Artava Shuddhi should be the basic line of treatment. Once Artava and Rasa Shuddhi takes place, definitely all the functions related to Artava will be taken place. So Artava is considered as a 7th Dhatu in female, because the functions of Shukra were performed by Artava in female. So it is not only the menstrual flow or blood, but it is doing the functions related to Shukra. So the first line of treatment in almost all the diseases pertaining to PCOD is Rasa Shuddhi Chikitsa or Rasava Sroto Chikitsa has to be followed. Langana, Sroto Shodhana, or if Bhaudosha Avastha is there, you can go for the Shodhanari Chikitsas, whatever been explained for Rasavaha Srotas. Coming to the last case, fourth one, a male patient of 30 years, a factory worker on shift duty with a history of no issues, married life of 4 years, anxious to conceive. So having a prevalence of obesity of 30.9 body mass index, 81 kg of weight, and known case of diabetes, prameha, since 1 year. And non-hypertensive, there is no dyslipidemic condition, and even thyroid profiles were also normal. No history of premature ejaculation or erectile dysfunction, and no history of typhoid or mumps. So testicular scan and hormonal assays were done, everything came normal, and wife is 24 years, no specific abnormalities were observed in her, and they have gone for IUI in the last year, and it was totally unfruitful. So what are the hetus were observed in this particular patients were Ruksha Ahara, Vishamashanas were observed, and Ati Vyayama was observed, doing a shift duty. Akala Shayana, Akala Jagaranas can be observed in this particular patient, and Langhana was also observed because he is unable to get a proper food in proper timing. So they all are the etiological factors making vitiation of prana and samanavata dushti. So pranavata dushti nidanas were vyayama langana, ati ahara, abhigata, adhvagamana, vega dharana, vega udirana. So vega dharana and vega udirana were also observed. So these are the akala shayana and akala jagarana are the very, very specific etiological factor for vitiation of samanavata. whenever Samana Vayu is getting vitiated, always it's associated Agni or Pitta, whatever in and around it, its peripheries there, right? They are all getting vitiated, and its impact can be seen on Apanavata, its impact can be seen on Rasavasrotas, on Shukravasrotas. So you can develop the Sampraptijan. You have studied all those things in the Samhitas. I'm not going into all those parts of Samhita oriented part here. So just as a clinical part, as a clinician point and as a OPD level, what you can observe. So these are the things which you can observe, and quickly you can come out with a 7 analysis report. Astonishingly, so earlier case with the same history without non-diabetic, but there was a more number of spermatozoas were observed, 170 million, but here you can see the total azoospermic. So non-obstructive azoospermic conditions were seen in this particular case. So the Nastaratus was a condition where the aspermia, or there is no, sorry, not aspermia, so there is no spermatozoas are present. So the first line of treatment is not to focus on spermatogenesis. So spermatogenesis or Janaka Chikitsa will not help you much in the initial phase. So in the initial phase, you have to make a proper channeling from Rasa to Shukra. Connection should be made properly. So its srotas should be made intact, and its physiological functions should be made proper. So the Samana Vata should perform its function normally. So what do you mean by performing normal functions of Vayu? Normal functions of Vayu can be assessed in 3 different ways. So 3 criteria are given by Indu in Astanga Sangraham. So wherein he explains that the normal functions of Vata can be observed in 3 dimensions. One, it should be there in its own sthana. First criteria, whether it is there in its own sthana or not, it has to be observed through its karmas. So whether it is performing its all functions properly or not, whether it is, what are the organs which are under control of that particular Vayu, whether all the functions of all those organs are normal or not. So when you look into the Samanavata functions, so here he clearly explains that Samano Agni Samipastaha. So when you observe the Pranavata, even though it is present in the Murdha Pradesha, it controls the Buddhi, Hridaya, Indriya, Chitta, and Drik. So when you want to consider that Pranavata is performing its normal function, that means the Pranavata should be there in Murdha Pradesha, first criteria. Second criteria, whatever the organs which are under control of Pranavata, all those organs should be in a normalcy. So the assessment of all those organ functions becomes the assessment of Pranavata functions. So that is the second criteria. Third is, it should perform its normal functions. Stivana, Kshavathu, Udgara, Nishwasa, Anna Praveshana. So all these functions should be assessed in relation to Pranavata. So any variation in the functions of the controlling organs, controlling centers, or the physiological normal functions, Stivana, Kshavathu, Udgara, Nishwasa, Anna Praveshana. So when all these functions are getting disturbed, then you can think that Pranavata is completely disturbed. So when you give the treatment for Pranavata or Samanavata, the assessment criteria is you should assess all the 3 things. So whether it is there, whether it has reached to its normal sthana or not. Second, whether it is the organs which are under control of Samana or Pranavata performing their functions normal or abnormal. That has to be assessed. When everything came to normal, then you think that your treatment is going in tune with the correcting the Samana and Pranavata. Otherwise, your treatment is not correct. So whether the controlling organs were normal, whether its functions are also normal. So 3 important dimensions are to be assessed. So when everything is normal, so this normal process of individual vatas are considered as anulomana. So it is not anulomana, always downward movement. So for pranavata, it is downward movement. For udanavata, is upward movement. For samanavata, it is revolving around the clockwise direction, not anti-clockwise, clockwise direction around the Agni. And for Vyanavata, movement in all the 3 directions is the Anulomana. So for Apanavata, moving downward. So Prana and Apana are moving downward. And Samanavata is moving in around clockwise direction around the Agni. So you have to look into all these perspective, its organs controlling and its normal functioning. So when you assess all these things, it becomes an assessment of individual Panchavatas for assessing the normal physiological functions are happening or not. So Samanavata controls Shukra, Artava, Sweda, Amboha, Sroto, Vichari. So the normal function of Shukra Srotas is under control of Samanavata, not under control of Apanavayu. Most of the time, Artava Pravritti or Shukra Pravritti is considered with Apanavata functions. So only the ejaculatory is the function related to Apanavata. All the process of spermatogenesis, all the 4 steps and whatever the transformation, everything happens, it's because of Samana Vayu only. So your line of treatment should focus on Samana Vayu. And Samana Vayu focus line of treatment is all Shamana Chikitsa, like from Rangana, Pacha and everything. So whatever been explained, you have to follow all the line of treatment. All the 7 varieties or Dashavida Langanas can be adopted to correct the Shamana Chikitsa for Samana Vayu. So Rasadushti Chikitsa has to be adopted, or Rasashuddhi Chikitsa need to be adopted. So you can observe Kapha Meda Savrata Prana and Samana Vayu and having a history of a diabetic. So Aprinana and Bija Anutpatti is the basic Samprapti which is happening in this particular case. So Deepana and Shukra Janana Chikitsa are the basic line of treatment in this particular case. So after giving the treatment, I will show you 1 month wise line of improvements. So Shadharana was given, so Deepana along with Soto Shodhana, Varnadi Kashaya was given, so Stholya Chikitsa, Kaphameda Signa, and Agni Deepana is also done by Varnadi Kashaya, and Avipattikara Churana for making Anulomana of the doshas. So after 1 month, you can see the changes in the 1 month. You could see the count after 1 month of this particular treatment. You can see the improvement in the count of around 8 million. It has increased to around 8 million. So you can see the reports. So from azoospermic to patient has improved to oligozoospermia. So fasting blood sugar was 145, postprandial was 236. So he is a diabetic. So volume of the semen has increased to 4 ml, and sperm count, total sperm count were observed as a 8 million. So it is a normal morphology was also seen. So it is a 8 million were observed after 1 month of treatment. And coming to the next one, continued with the same line of treatment of Shadharana for Deepana, and the dose of the Shadharana was reduced as it makes more ruksh. So Vidaryadi Kashaya was advised. So Vidaryadi Kashaya once again having a Brahmana and having a direct action over Prana and Samanavata actions. So Avipattikara Churna was prescribed for making Anulomana of the remained doshas. So after giving this line of treatment, you can observe in the second report. So where the count has increased from 8 million to 9.1 million. So there is not much improvement as it has been expected from azoospermic to oligozoospermia, with only improvement in the 9.1 million. So the treatment was continued for 1 more month, with Shadharana was continued for Deepanartha and added with Chandra Prabhavati. So where the Kaphameda Medhogna Chikitsa was selected, along with the medicines with Gokshuru, Shunthi, Ashwagandha, Kapikachu, and Guduchi were made into Kashaya. Advise the patient to consume it before food twice daily. For maximum absorption, it was advised to take before food in the afternoon and in the night. So morning Shadharana was given for good appetite and Agni Deepana, Srodoshodhana, and in the afternoon and the night, the Gokshuru and Shunthi, this Kashaya was given in the afternoon and the night before food for maximum absorption for the improvement in the count and motility. After this treatment, you can observe the next improvement in the azoospermic patient. So the count has increased from 9.1 million to 18 million. So 18 million was increased, and with normal morphology. Still, he is under, as per the WHO, as per the normal international criteria. So still it is under normal values, subnormal values were observed at 18 million. And further line of treatment was continued with Snehapana was started. So after observing the normal control of the diabetic ranges and Nirama Avasthas were observed and everything came to normal, So the treatment strategy was changed from not only the Rukshana with some sort of making Snehana. So after Samyak Rukshana, because you can observe in the reports, you can see the volume of the semen has reduced slowly. From 4 ml, it has reduced to 2 ml. So slowly Rukshana Lakshanas were observed in the semen, but count is increasing, but volume is reducing. So we have planned with Dadi Madhigrata for Snehapan. So after Dadi Madhigrata Snehapana was given, with Shardharana and Goksharo, Shunti, whatever the Kashaya was advised in earlier, the same thing were continued, and you can see the increase in the count, and still volume has reduced. So the whatever the Goksharo, Shunti, everything has been given because of Shardharana, which was continued for long duration of time. You can observe the reduce in the volume, but you can see the count of a patient has a zero. It has reached to 276 million. So this was the case of azoospermia. It has increased from 0 to 8, 9.1, 18, and after Snehapana with a Dadi Madhigrata. So that is why I insist you to read the fertility or all the infertility cases of it may be male or female. Dadi Madhigrata becomes one of the very, very finest grata in establishing the fertility condition. So Putra Pautradhikan, whatever the objective of Vajikarana was also explained. So the genetic materials were continued from Putra Pautradhikan. So their next generation to generation, there will be no changes in the genetic materials in a patient. So that can be observed with the help of objective of Vajikarana. So the outcome of this patient is they have conceived in the month of April during the lockdown. So lockdown has blessed them. Maybe Corona is not blessing them, but lockdown has blessed them. So they have conceived, but within well-controlled diabetes. So there is no medications for diabetes from modern medicine. Only these line of treatment were followed. So he has reduced his weight, and the recent weight, which was seen on February 20th, was 74.5. So he is doing well. So, and outcome came with normal conception has happened in the month of April. So these were the outcome of so these 4 cases. So if any queries, anything which you wish to ask with all these 4 cases, so whatever the little things which I have, I can share with you people. Thank you.
Thank you, Pramod Katti, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Now I request the audience, if at all they have any queries on these 4 cases, or again specifically in relation to the diseases that sir has covered up, that is obesity, infertility, hypothyroidism. Any approaches, any clarifications you need on these aspects, you can place your questions. You can unmute yourself and place your questions. So better late than never. I would like to welcome and offer our Dr. Anita Madam from Hubli, Dr. Shripati Adiga and Dr. Krishna Raghav Hebbar sir from KMC CIMR.
Dear Dr. Ravi Shankar, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'm also here with Dr. Anita.
Oh, okay, Dr. Akash sir. We welcome you on behalf of Munial.
Nice presentation,
Thank
Dr.
you, sir.
Pramod. Very nice presentation.
Thank you very much, sir.
Really interesting. One question I wanted to ask you. The first case that you presented, the anti-TPO, it says that most commonly they land up in, it is indicative of Hashimoto's disease. So is there any possibility that you follow it up, or did you rule out, or what did you find out about it?
The only anti-TPO was kept as a marker. It is a autoimmune thyroiditis only. So with that perspective, we have started with the treatment of considering it as a Visha. So the Guruchi Siddha Jala was advised along with the Punarnamadi Kashaya. So the indication of Punarnamadi Kashaya is Jvara, Shotha and Visha.
Yeah.
So once it is not possible to reverse the entire autoimmune disorders. It is ongoing process, but at least we can prevent its further recurrence also. So, or the increasing the anti-TPO level can be brought down to normalcy. So, if you keep the check for the growth of anti-TPO, so at least we can prevent further autoimmune disorders, or sometimes it may also turn out into cancerous conditions related to thyroid. So
Any
we can prevent
USG
that.
of the neck?
So
Sorry, any USG of the neck, etc. was done to rule out any
no,
swellings?
no, sir. So basically, there was no growth and no swelling on the neck. So I had not done any USG or FNAC of the thyroid.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Sir, I have a personal question now.
Sir.
Pramod Katti, sir.
Sir.
Sir, in most of these conditions of obesity, or though obese individuals are not so amenable, or they are not so suitable for Shodhana procedures, but still on the basis of concepts of Avarana. So it is usually a custom to go for some forms of Shodhana, but then you have, I think, showed us the extreme benefits of Shamana also, like what is normally highlighted in the text. Apart from that, way beyond that, you have proved, no doubt, the benefits of Shamana Chikitsa also by not going for any Shodhana. Is it that you don't practice Shodhana procedure on the regular, or that you have your confidence in Shamana is so much that you don't feel it is necessary for Shodhana?
Not like that, sir. So generally in all these conditions, Shodhanas are actually contraindicated. So most of the metabolic disorders are associated with the Samadosha avasthas. So when the acharyas are very specific in Bahudosha avastha along with Nirama avastha is the indication for Shodhana. So when we have got all the diseases of metabolic disorders of today's lifestyle, today's food habits, we do not get such Bahudosha avastha in much of the cases. It does not mean that we don't practice Shodhana Chikitsa. We do Shodhana Chikitsas, but once we achieve the status of Nirama avastha, then any remaining Bahudosha avastha lakshanas are there, you can definitely go for Shodhana Chikitsa. Even in Shotha Roga, Panduroga, or in thyroid disorders also, if the Nirama avastha is observed, so when everything came to normal, then you can go for Shodhana, provided if the avasthas of doshas are remained as a Bahudosha. So that is the basic criteria to select Shodhana Chikitsa.
Okay, sir. Then you have given this Datimadi Grta in Shamana dose, sir. I think
format,
you have not
Shramana
specified. Yeah, I think you have not
Shamana,
specified
I
the
mentioned
dose.
Shamana Snehapana. Dose is just regularly how we Shamana this one half of the Rusiyasi Matra, which was fixed as a Shamana Matra. So we started with 10 ml. So depending on the appetite, it has calculated for 24 hours and slowly it has increased. Suppose a 10 ml of Sneha is getting digested in 4 hours. So we have planned it for 7 days of Snehapana. So generally we give 10 ml in the early morning in the empty stomach after Malamutra Visarjana and Snana. In empty stomach we have to take. After Snehapana, Snana is contraindicated. So in empty stomach it has to be taken. And once the Shamana Sneha is completely digested, and that time has to be observed, once the complete Kshudha Pravrti and the Samyak Jirna Lakshanas were observed, and all the Kshudha Pravrti and Malamutra Tyaga and all the Lakshanas, Anga Gaurava is resolved, and no other Lakshanas related to Sneha Jirnas. So means Sneha Jirna Lakshanas were observed. So that time has to be calculated for 24 hours and it has to be calculated for 7 days. So like that we make a daily assessment of a patient and slowly we increase the dose. So 10 ml was given in the morning at 8 a.m. Suppose it has get digested in 4, it took for 4 hours for digestion. So it has to be calculated for 24 hours. So into 6. So 10 into 6 is 60 ml and that 60 ml is the maximum dosage of 24 hours. But in Shamana Snehapana, it has to be get digested in 12 hours. So we have to calculate it for 12 hours. So 10 ml in 4 hours and 12 hours into 3. So that will be 30 ml. Is the maximum dosage to be given for 12 hours. So it has to be divided by number of days of Snehapana as a 7. So 7 is the maximum number of days for Snehapana. So the maximum dose for 12 hours is 30 ml, 30 divided by 7. So it is around 4 ml. So on the second day, we have increased 10 ml to 14 ml or maximum 15 ml. So like that, you can daily calculate and slowly you can increase the dose up to 7th day. So that is the objective of Shamana Snehapan.
Okay, thank you, sir. Any other questions?
Ravi Shankar sir, thank you for this one wonderful arrangement. Um, Pramod sir, it was a nice presentation. Here, Dr.
Thank you, sir.
Sripati from Manipal. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Yes. Ravi Shankar sir,
Yes, sir.
with the permission of the presenter, is there any possibility of sharing the presentation?
We will host this on the YouTube, sir.
Oh, thank you so
So
much.
all
Sir.
our webinars after the presentation, we are recording all
Okay.
these presentations. So our Munial
sir.
webinars are being recorded, sir, and then we host it on YouTube.
Oh,
We will share the link, sir.
thank you so much, sir. It was very nice attitude, like, and the entire program is organized in such a wonderful manner that, like, it is a very learning process for every other Ayurvedic doctor, sir.
For sure, sir. It was a timely decision from Dr. Satyanarayan, sir, our principal, because I was totally unaware. I could not remember Pramod Katti sir's name when he asked for some resource persons. So it was very timely for him to arrange actually Pramod Katti sir for this particular session.
Nice, sir. Nice presentation.
And, sir has definitely Pramod Katti sir has kept up to the expectations we had, sir,
Expectation of the
because he has
audience. Yes,
simplified.
yes, yes.
Yes, definitely. He has simplified the entire topics on the basis of Ayurvedic fundamentals and principles.
Exactly.
And he has again given a very good message that we should not think too big aspects. Like many a times, whenever people of patients of infertility come, the first thing comes like Makaradwaja and all those things, which are again high-priced medicines. And if we look at all the prescriptions, what Pramod Katti sir has been using in his patients, I think really the patients will be benefited a lot with such simple
The class of
prescription.
patients, the class and the economic status of the patient, those who are approaching for the such clinical conditions are not so much of going for Shodhana and giving all medicines which are fortified with bhasmas and everything. So at least we can find another route through which we can give more appropriate and more very cost-effective treatments with more outcomes. The only thing is you need to spend little time with the patients to make them to understand their disease process. So once you instill that awareness inside the patient, it becomes very easy for a physician to carry out with a very minimum number of medicines.
Yes, sir, definitely.
Yes, sir.
I don't think anybody else has any questions, sir.
We'll continue, we'll finish, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much, Dr. Pramod Katti, sir, for being with us today and sharing your experiences on metabolic disorders. So on behalf of Munial family, I would extend heartfelt thanks to you, sir, and also to the audience for your patient listening. Thank you very much. So we will come again with another deliberation possibly in the next week. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you all for your patience hearing.